Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Wellington Capital Improvement Program Committee to order. It is December 10th, 2025 at 7:01 p.m. Members present are Jason Ross, Peter Bacon, Jeremy Brothers, myself, Jim Marshall, and Jen McCoon in the room. Online, we have Christina Milos and Melissa McKinnon. Can you guys hear us okay?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you.
Wonderful. All right. First on the agenda is item number 2, present to speak. There is nobody but CIP members here in attendance. So, and nobody in the room. So we're moving on. New business, committee appointments. So first off, welcome to our new members, Mr. Jason Ross. Joining us is the Board of Finance delegate in place of Steph Summers. And not in attendance tonight because he had a prior conflict, but our new first selectman, Mike McCoo, is serving to fill that first selectman seat rather than a delegate from the Board of Selectmen. They unanimously moved that. Their meeting last week, I believe. So welcome, and we also have Christina, who hopefully can confirm you did get sworn in.
That's correct.
Beautiful. Christina last week was reappointed for a new term. Thank you again, Christina, for agreeing to stay on. And just briefly, very quickly, thank you, since we haven't had a chance since this all transitioned, so thanks to Steph Summers and Stu Cobb, who have both decided to not stay on for CIP. Steph is now chairing correctly the Board of Finance, and Stu just wanted to move on to other things. And obviously Peter Tanaka is no longer appointed there, but that's where he used to sit. Is no longer first selectman, but thank you, Pete, for your time. So yeah, we have a vacancy. So if anybody is interested in serving on the CIP committee, given what we have ahead of us over the coming years, it'd be great to have a full slate. If you're interested, please reach out to the selectman's office with a statement of interest and brief understanding of your qualifications. We'd love to have interest and see if we can fill the spot. So first up, appointment of officers. We do this annually. I don't remember what month we did it in last year, but we're doing it in this month this year. So we need to elect a chair and a vice chair, ideally. So anybody want to make a nomination?
I nominate Jim Marshall for chair.
I second.
Thank you, guys. Anybody else? All right, hearing no discussion, we're gonna do roll calls because we have people online. So Jen,
Yes.
Yes.
Jeremy, Peter,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Melissa.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Christine. There's Christina, excuse me.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Oh, wait, we're gonna return that favor in a minute, I'm sure. Thank you, guys. And I'll abstain from that, I guess. But yes, I'm happy to take it on for another year, and we'll see what happens in fall 2026. Then we'll take it from there. Vice chair. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'm gonna make a nomination for Christina Milos to stay on as vice chair.
I second.
Any other nomination? All right, hearing none. Another roll call. Jen.
Will she accept it?
Oh, well, that's a question. Christina, you okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, Christina.
Just for a year. You're already committed to 3 for just being here. So one more year.
Enthusiastically, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. I'm a yes as well.
Jeremy's a yes. Most definitely yes. Yes.
Jason's a yes. Melissa
Absolutely, yes.
Yay.
and Christina.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I apologize, everybody. I'm just realizing that this was not working. It had turned off. So, sorry, Lisa. Now she's recording, she'll have to catch the first couple of minutes from the video when the Zoom comes out. Lisa, just moving on, there was nobody present to speak. We elected officers, myself as chair and Christina Milos as vice chair. Sorry, everybody, that's our recording secretary. All right, thank you. Next up, we have approval of minutes, and there are several, August 13th, September 10th, September 17th, 24th, and October 8th. The three in the middle are actually, I think the last four questions are the facility walkthroughs, correct?
Yes.
All right, it's been a while, September 10th was a regular meeting as well.
I move that we approve the minutes from August 13th, September 10th, September 17th, September 24th, and October 8th, 2025.
I will second those for discussion. Does anybody have any comments on any of the above? One second, you gotta find it.
Yeah, I gotta find it. Hold on. What dates did you say, Jen?
13th, August 13th, September 10th, September 17th, September 24th, and October 8th.
It was September 17th. We have to amend line item 4. Because Chief Moore was not there, it was actually Mike McCoo
Oh, you are correct.
and the other chief. I can't think of his name, I'm sorry.
Snyder.
Snyder, so. They did not provide updates.
That is my copy paste. Lisa wouldn't have done this if she had done the.
And that's the only thing I saw on September 17th. And I think that's all I saw that I could manage to remember.
All right.
Other than that, everything else.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment.
Yeah. Yeah,
To change the 17th minutes.
I accept the
for-
amendment.
all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in, let's try it, see if we get unanimous, all those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain just because I wasn't here.
All right, roll call it is, Jen.
Aye.
I'm an aye.
I'm an aye. Aye.
Jason,
Abstain.
Melissa,
Aye.
Christina,
Aye.
all right. 6 ayes, 1 abstention. Thanks, Jay.
Sorry, it'd be different if I was at least a member of the committee. Good call.
Do with all your fancy rules.
I mean, yes.
All right. That takes care of minutes, those can go away. Oh, sorry, going back really quick to committee appointments, I don't have these yet, I gotta ask the town clerk, I didn't catch the dates of your appointment, the term limit, and I have to check. Christina, did they give you? I assume this is 2 years past, or 3 years past what you just ended on, but I will confirm that, just as a point of note.
Yeah, I
So-
think it was, I don't remember, but it was 3 years, whatever that is, 3 years from now.
Yeah, I say they said 28.
28, I believe that's what they said, it's a something, 129 or 28.
Yeah, it's-
120 or 29, yeah.
It's the either
I love
November or December dates that get all wonky, so I will confirm that with the clerk's office and make sure that our page on the website is updated. And Jason, if you could share your preferred contact, you have a town Wellington email, I imagine, but if
Yeah.
you could share your preferred, just phone. Address, phone number that you want, if the clerk asks for it, for record of all.
Okay.
So that she has it and can reach out if there's a problem with anybody's.
Okay.
You're good there.
Yeah.
All right, next up. item D, 3D, excuse me, the 2026 meeting schedule. You guys should all have a copy of that in your packets, and sent along. This is just a draft for now. But similar to what we did last year, we're gonna go weekly, at least through our regular meeting in March. And those weeks will be for, department interviews, evaluation, assessment. That gives us, how many of those are there? 4. That gives us 10 meetings at the start of the year to get from A to Z on a plan to put before the selectmen. The goal with all of this year was to try to get out there earlier. If we can beat those March dates, that's great. But the goal is to get at least a draft plan out to the selectmen so that they can have an understanding of how it fits into their budget. We have opportunity to come back and make any revisions or amendments. We got a very late start last year because of transitions. So we're doing our best to move this along. Balance of the year, just monthly, second Wednesdays of the month, 7 PM for normal. If there are any questions or concerns, or anybody have any thoughts to the contrary?
Is anyone at all willing to do a little bit earlier than 7?
What time were you thinking?
Well. I'd love 6, but if people could do like even 6:30, that would be helpful.
In basketball and stuff, it's tough.
Okay.
I mean, I got your 15 minutes spared today, so.
Yeah, I have 7 I mean, it's a lose-lose with family schedules either way, generally. I could make 6:30 work if need be. But 7 probably be preferred.
I prefer 7.
Christina, Melissa, any preference?
Doesn't
Either
matter, doesn't matter to me.
Well, I don't wanna make it prohibitive for people to attend. I mean, it was just selfish for me to wanna put my kids to bed.
Oh, that's.
It's fine. 7 is fine.
Okay, let's hold it at 7 then, and then, we'll probably have some other commitments to adjust for the following year, but we'll take it from there. So with that said, I will get this over, I will take the draft off this, formalize it, get it to the clerk's office, but before we move on to that, I figured we'd talk a little bit about budget season and the schedule. And I just to get a sense of, we have to kind of game out and start to reach out to departments about what their availability is to come in and discuss their submissions. Was there any preference, or did anybody have any thoughts on who they wanted to tackle first?
I would say. The lower impact should go first. I mean, the higher impact, you got a bigger budget, you got. More things to plan for.
Yeah, so the only thoughts there were. There are some big, well, we'll get to it, we can discuss a little more when we get to the actual submission review. We have some departments that are missing items. We're gonna have a number of items that we're just not gonna have the information for. Potentially until later in the game. I'm not sure how the school building committee that was formed last night is gonna play into this and the impact of the Board of Ed budget overall. I quite frankly don't think we're gonna have much information to go on before we wrap this portion of the budget, so I'm positive, let's put it that way. So, and I gotta hear, we haven't heard from the senior center at all for submissions, so which is surprising, but I'll reach out. So we can do what we normally do, we have conservation, that's pretty easy, land use.
Yeah, that's what I was meaning by low impact.
I think we can bring in the library earlier if they're amenable. They have a number of requests that I think, yeah, we might have supplemental information on. I just want to make sure we can get back with somebody if we have questions.
Yeah.
Before we're ready to vote on a whole plan. The fire departments, I think, are gonna be the trickiest. Because where the facilities, their emergency services facilities building committee is and how that impacts equipment. Part of me wants to have them in for an initial conversation early with the opportunity to come back for clarifications.
I mean, maybe if we offered that to
Yeah.
them as a kind of as an opportunity to have a conversation if they want it earlier than later.
Yeah, let me reach out with those thoughts in mind. I think it would be great to be able to get them in there and just discuss if we don't have any equipment. We don't have anything besides a pickup. Submitted for the year one apartments. Yeah, so I think there's some standing requests we're gonna need to get a handle on, because it's gonna impact some of our other discussions as well, so that year too. Let's do that for the bid. We got the letter today, we can review. And I wasn't planning on doing anything that first week in January for interviews, because I kind of think we're gonna want to review. My hope is that we can pull together these submissions as submitted into the spreadsheet and get a first look at really what we're looking at from a year-over-year perspective. And kind of discuss that as a group that first week in January, and then head into the interviews for clarifying comments, if that makes sense. And if we can't get somebody lined up, or we decide we don't need some of these weeks because it's being efficient or effective, we can cancel them, but I want to have them on the books. So that we have the opportunity to schedule. All right. Any Christina, Melissa, anything? Any comments, concerns with the schedule before I move on?
Nope.
Beautiful. All right, we'll make that official. I will reach out to the departments with these dates now that they're kind of set, and propose an order for discussion, and we'll finalize that with everybody ahead of the next meeting. In January. All right, next up, 3D. CIP website page transition. So as everybody is aware, the town of Willington has been transitioning their website. It is still in the works. The CIP page has been active. I have to update the membership roster now that we have new appointments. I think everything historical is in there. It should be fairly effective. Our calendar is not showing up on the town website yet, on the town fall calendar. So there are little things like that we'll need to adjust. So you'll see it as hopefully get corrected as we go, but just be aware that it's happening internally if you're looking for something. I think we're all set, but we'll take it from there. All right. That's all I had on that one. So let's go on to 3, review of the current CIP plan. Before we get into the submissions for this year, it would be helpful just to look at where we ended up, because it's been a number of months. How many referendums was it last year? Three referendums. 3. The CIP plan made it 3 months too. Okay. So what you have is what was ultimately approved at the second referendum. The big changes in that last round from what we had originally put forth. Well, not originally, but what was revised after our earlier push to our first push to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Finance removed the dump truck replacement for Public Works. I think we pushed that out a year. That came up again as was resubmitted as a request this year. The transfers to the Capital Reserve Fund were modified. Notably, the $1 million placeholder to the School Reserve Fund was reduced to $625. I'll just think that puts some around. Yeah. Yeah. A little over $3 million in there over $5 million for the 5-year plan. And that changed the total. So what it wound up being was a significant reduction year over year for the second year in a row. which is potentially problematic. Or not problematic, but it'll make, I suspect it's gonna make our work this year even more challenging. As we look to address more needs with less year-over-year investment in capital. I'm hoping, well, we'll see where it all fleshes out. There's a lot of things trending in a positive direction, by way of reimbursement rates, the animal control facility, things like that. But it's just something we're gonna have to be cognizant of, is that reduction getting up to or increasing that again, is gonna be, is potentially an increase for that. So we want to be very cognizant of all the needs and try to be as efficient as we can, and I think it would behoove everybody to try to promote each department being as efficient as they can with their requests or understanding of the degree. They're generally pretty good with that, but one day at a time. Did anybody have any questions about where we left off? Or any thoughts? Christina, Melissa, any comments on the plan, or just dive right into the new stuff?
I think dive right in.
All right. So with that background, yeah, I should have received 2 emails from me today. One was a forward of the Board of Ed request that came in after I sent the first email. But that first email had 2 summary documents of the submissions that were pulled as of this morning at about 7:30 a.m. One of them is just the cost summary, a 1-pager with all of the pull requests. The other one is a pull with some of the project descriptions, and impact on operating budgets. It's the same information, same projects, just one has detail and a lot of text and takes up a lot more. I admittedly have only briefly gone through and looked at some of these myself, because as I said, the submission went up closed yesterday. Couple of things to note, if I can bring it up. There are couple things to be aware of. First is the senior center has not submitted anything. I'm sure they have projects. We met with them. They definitely have projects. We toured the facility this year. I will reach out to their team and see what the deal is between now and January as a part of our evaluation process, because I imagine where are they? I imagine many of these projects that they had and submitted last year are still going to be in conception to some degree. So we will verify that. Secondly, the fire departments have 2 requests in here. One is for an air compressor that is out beyond the 5 years of this current plan, as a early submissions for planning purposes. The other one is the replacement of service 213, which was in our plan already. What was not resubmitted was the replacement of Rescue 149 or any other vehicles. And we know that's a recurring thing. They have many vehicles that are over their service life. I think some of this is going to be wrapped into the Emergency Services Facilities Building Committee work, because I think a part of that recommendation, that report that's ongoing, is adjustments regarding what fleet vehicles to maintain long term, and it might even be a reduction of the fleet. So I think there's just more to come on that, but just be aware none of that is really captured in this, nor did they submit anything related to or renew the request for the large bonded project, whatever it may become. Mike had sent an email. Mike McCoo had sent an email basically stating such that they just received a report. There are going to be options. I think it's going to be further detail that fleshes out as they evaluate these things over the next couple of months. I'm not sure how much information we're ultimately gonna have by way of how this fits into a long term. Because I don't think the decisions are made yet, whether or not they're gonna happen in the next 2 months, it's probably somewhat unlikely, but we will. That's why I said I think it's important to get them in early and just get a sense, of where they're at. From the Board of Selectmen. The 2 requests that are existing were not renewed. I don't think that means that they're gonna go away. Animal control, we gotta talk to Mike about, I know we're regionalizing that may not need to stay on. But I don't know any other additional requests that are happening there. Those are the big holes in this thus far, in what was submitted versus what we were expecting. Or at least what I was expecting, and so we were expecting to see. So we'll have some follow-up to do. You also received some emails. You'll note a couple of new ones in here. The library did submit something for the build out of their basement. I think it's preliminary, but I haven't looked into it. We'll have to evaluate that with them a little further. They did discuss it in their reports. And then, so you got some correspondence from the library director. And they're just discussing that, the preliminary plan of what they've previously looked at for that basement space. And then. Yeah. That's my really broad stroke summary. I don't think there's anything, oh, the other email in here that we got today was from Bill Stevens. Jen, do you want to discuss it all or fill us in a little bit on what you all discussed last night? Or
It was it was a pretty preliminary discussion because there's no real hard numbers and no real hard commitment from folks to share it, and it doesn't make sense for us to get it if we're not going to share it. So it's I don't know how to describe it. You guys probably all know better. It's some kind of high-powered commercial thing that you can snow blow and
a UTV.
what?
A UTV or utility.
Yeah, I could just read his letter, and this is basically what we had a conversation about last night. Again, the price is up in the air, and Bill is going to get back to us as far as what the prospects are for the interest of the fire departments to share it. We don't yet know where it would be housed. We would have to figure out the maintenance of it. We talked about if we did get a vehicle like that, making sure that it was kind of a stickler every year that we talk about the use of it and what kind of shape it's in and how many hours it has on it, so we can keep track of it.
Yeah, so that was new, and that's a shared request, and then I apologize, I was having trouble following the conversation where I was at. I was trying to listen last night.
It was new for us too, so.
But there's also the request, it looks like the placeholder. The transfer to the school reserve fund, given where we're at, you guys opted to request 1.25
Yep.
million for the coming year. Yes.
That commitment, that over 5 years commitment to get that account to 5 million is really important. Particularly given the project that's in the headlights right now. Having that money in the bank, I think, is a huge service to the taxpayers. So that there's not this huge hit to the taxpayers if the project is approved and that fund comes in. So this was the purpose behind that whole savings account.
So it's an increase, but it's a continuation of the approach we've been working towards.
It's an increase because last year was a significant decrease. So,
So I'll have to look, that's not in this sheet, or in that, I did just do a rough total at the bottom of this, but again, it's missing quite a bit of open submissions, but it was 9.8 million. Plus all of these things I just discussed that aren't showing up in the total. So, we're gonna face many of the same challenges this year. All of the same challenges this year as we did last year. I'm hoping we can start to, we are gradually moving the needle in a positive direction. Even with some steps backward. I just hope we can continue to do that. Does anybody see anything in here that jumps out at you as crazy? Or as unexpected, I guess. I didn't see anything at first glance, but
Something that stands out to me real quick is just and maybe I'm
Guardrail.
maybe I'm misremembering something from the budget season last year. But the 3.5 million for the Schofield Road drainage, that wasn't discussed at all. I mean, I know it's outside of the window, but I thought part of the whole Village Hill Schofield Road drainage, if we put in whatever it was for the engineering of that this year,
yeah.
there was a grant that was gonna cover the actual maintenance and work. I don't know if something changed or if we missed a deadline.
so no, not to my knowledge, but I haven't read the actual full submission yet.
Yeah.
We got, the grant was $2 million in total. The Schofield was always going to be a phase thing that was over it. And Village Hill drainage was also in that. That's what I will need an update on it, but I believe they started the engineering of that this year, or last year. With the expectation.
There was
Correct.
50 grand or something that we put aside.
We provided funding for
Yeah.
that. So the goal was to tackle them kind of sequentially. $750,000 of that 2 million. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, was going to complete that Village Hill project. The
Okay,
balance of 1.25 would then be applied to whatever first phase of Schofield.
then we just didn't get to that point.
Correct.
Okay, then that
So-
was where it was. And I
Yeah,
just-
so there is a grant that should be applied there should be, to the best of my knowledge, a grant
Yeah,
that
we had
applies some of those
Yeah, we had
funds.
to do the engineering and 500,000, then
It's the engineering part that's gonna come out of
it's like,
pocket.
right, it's like 500,000
Yeah.
bucks or something, because
Yeah.
to get the state involved with the bottom at 32.
Yeah, so that 500,000
Yeah,
is the big hit.
It was just the 3.5 million that stood out to me, because I was like, wait a minute, I thought we talked about this ad nauseum, but we
That's
just didn't get to
estimate.
that portion. And that's.
So I think the goal was to, or at least as I remember, their goal was to engineer the entirety of what needed to happen as the first step. And then they would use that grant money to tackle whatever first phase we could get
There
to.
was 2 or 3 phases, they were gonna start at
Yeah.
the bottom and work their way up.
And then we'd have to figure out how to, in future years, how to fund, in some capacity, the completion of that work.
Okay.
3, or whatever the total becomes by that point. But
Okay, yeah,
it's,
we just didn't get there, and I was putting the cart before the horse.
no, it's a good question, it's a good refresher. But yes, that'll be one that'll extend beyond. What is different on here? Is the Liska Road Bridge and culverts. That I'm just noticing now.
Well, that was on there.
For 40 it was, but it was on there for $300,000.
Way more than
It's now 2.5 million. So I don't know, I don't recall, I have to go back and look at but that's another one to watch. And to kind of follow up on. Public Works, most of this stuff is priority or urgent or listed as such in the submissions. We'll have to figure out how to prioritize what can and can't be done, or what needs to be adjusted or pushed out. I know the tendency is to mark these urgent because many of these are standing requests for years and years that that's where we're at, unfortunately. So we'll have to, those are gonna be the big ones. The other. The Parks and Rec has 3 new requests. We didn't have any from Parks and Rec last year. It's all for lighting. Soccer field, pickleball court, oh, sorry, soccer field and pickleball court lighting is 2 separate requests, and then. It would guardrail,
I don't know where that is.
I don't know where that is either.
That's the River Road.
Oh, River Road.
Oh,
outside of
right.
Complex.
Yeah.
So. Those are new ones. Salt shed's still on here, we're gonna have to address that at some point or other. Although I do think we should be clear of the prior steep grant over at the septic over Old Town Hall, which means we can conceivably try to start applying for a new one. We'll have to work that through with Mike.
Cause that one's complete and
Can't apply for a new one until,
that one, the money's coming. right?
but they're competitive, so we have to, that's, but I think that's what we had this targeted for, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot we gotta work through and a lot of discrepancies and a lot of like gaps, and a lot of new.
Yeah, it's like. Some of the roofing of the library is all new.
Yeah. Yeah, last year it was a roofing study in year 5.
Right, there's a roof
now it's
in year 5,
replacement.
now it's replacement and it's urgent, so.
Yeah, what year, well. It's urgent, but it's not this year. The
27, 28.
Yep. And then the flat rubber roof is even further out, so
30, 31, right?
sounds like he might have gotten pricing
Yeah,
rather than doing an assessment, and I think that's this might be the updates to this.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Steve, the library director, and see where that stands. The unfinished basement one is something we're gonna have to look at as well.
Yeah, I look forward to having that conversation. Because I feel like we were told something different a couple of years ago about that being. That having that having money to it already.
So I think there was some expectation that the library had savings. They do list this as donations, other sources is $300,000.
And then they got a
And grants for $200,000, so the cost of town out of all of this is only noted as 100,000, but then the cost by years don't tally up, so.
No.
I think it's just a lot of preliminary and.
Yeah, I look forward to having the conversation with.
This is more information than we've had on it than we have in years prior. And he did send along.
Yeah, I just briefly scanned his letter.
But sorry, it's a real small scale. This is a full 24 library, 6 PDF. But always a plan of that build out. It was pretty hard. I mean, the restrooms alone could be that cost, quite frankly. If you're digging in French and fence slabs, trying to tie in. I think it might be under budget submitted, but I also think it's very important. All right, we just have to have that discussion. Christina, Melissa, I can't see you. So any thoughts? I don't look up to see if you're raising your hands, but
Nope, just following along, but I don't have anything to add.
do you recall any discussions about lighting for the soccer field at River Road?
Not in recent years.
Yeah.
I think, well, we had talked a lot about the lighting that is there now. I think it was always on the wish list to have more, but I don't remember hearing specifically about it.
Money lane.
Um, and too early to tell. All
I
right,
noticed there are no ones, I guess that's, I don't know if that's good or bad.
I forget what one actually is in the system, quite frankly, immediate, I believe is the answer. It's a vague definition. So, immediate, I mean, the reality is by the time we look at this, their immediate is 7 months out, right? So, because that's the earliest funding would be available through us. Most immediate needs, I think, are typically covered as a direct request, similar to what recent things have done. Ideally, we are projecting these things so that we can use other funding sources like LoCIP. But it has to be in the plan to do that. We need to know about it in enough in advance to be able to get it on the plan. Which is what we ran into with the recent library. Just their computers, it was their computer now. They went, I got. That was approved directly through the Board of Finance.
I know they talked about it during.
Yeah, so. But the gutters were able to be through LoCIP, which is great, because that's not a tax hit, a direct tax hit for the community. All right, so. Next steps on this. Are to basically reach out to those that we haven't heard from, so we can get some clarifications on what wasn't renewed in the system and whether or not they're valid. I will try to do that between now and our first meeting, January next meeting. Beyond that, what I'm gonna do is take a copy of this. Beautiful spreadsheet. And start to input these things similar to what we did last year. Where they are requested. I don't know how confusing a model that's gonna get ultimately, if it changes what we previously approved or not, but, I'll see when we get in there. And then, that'll be our first real look at what the impact is. Obviously, our goals are to try to minimize substantial year-over-year fluctuations. There are instances. Maybe this next year where that becomes hard, but. That'll be our first test. Unless anybody has any other thoughts, and then we'll have interviews lined up to go through them soon after in the weeks to follow. I'd like to leave a good 2 or 3 meetings for us to debate the heck out of the immediate and 5-year plan. With the goal of approving a full plan rather than year one and year others, because they interrelate. Which is what we did last year. So.
Sounds good.
Oh, sounds interesting.
Okay, sounds interesting.
Oh, the other thing I'll have to do is. Donna's not here tonight, but I will see if she can provide, also meeting up with Donna to. Get updated fund balances. As they stand. Probably at the start of the year. Because I know we are accruing interest rather than hemorrhaging in some of these funds now, which is great. But the school project one is at least. And I'm not entirely convinced that we're not. Interest is showing up somewhere in general fund. I think the interest in the school project fund is all going, it's all general reserve is being tracked separately, so. I could be mistaken, but we're not showing, or she has not shown us any interest in the school project specifically. And at the interest she's showing in the other one, I suspect it's all going to the general fund. Proper rather than the school there, so I will follow up with her on that. That's a question I had, and I looked at this the other day.
Yeah, we actually talked a little tiny bit about that last night too. So what's the procedure to apply for the steep grant? Is that something that the selectman does, or, is
Yes.
that Donna that does that, or?
It would be through the selectman's office.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm still new enough to not know the procedure. But I'm sure that will be with the assistance of somebody in the financial office or some reason. Room around the corner.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Christina, you might be able to shed some light on that. Do you have any, you've gone through Steve before, right?
Yeah, so basically it does need to be initiated through the selectmen, but I think it would be good for us to recommend to the selectmen what they should be applying for, because you can use it for, a variety of things. And it has happened in the past where, one group of selectmen might think one project is really important and apply for a grant for that, and then the next group comes in and doesn't agree with that. And an example is when River Road was just a big hole. The town had received a steep grant to build it into the park that it is, and but the selectmen at the time didn't want to do that project, so it sort of sat dormant for a little while, and that was one of the first things when I got elected, just to sign the papers, and we started doing it. So that can happen, but the opposite of that can happen too, where just things don't get applied for. And it used to be an annual thing where the money was available every year, and you could just sort of set your watch to when you should be applying for it. And I know that changed over the years, and I'm not sure what the schedule is now, but it's good to know what it is. And we have all these projects teed up. They should get priority over a pet project or just a side project that somebody thinks of. So I guess that's my thoughts on it. But I think it's our role to say, hey, there are these big expenses coming up that we have to do. So these are things that the money should be used for. And whether or not they want to listen to that is up to them. But I think that is part of what our role is here, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so essentially, I mean, yes, we have a number of projects that I think. Well, I have to go refresh myself on what Steve is eligible for again, but. Yeah, I think the recommendation as a part of our overall strategy for addressing some of these longstanding needs should be. How we actually pursue that and then making that recommendation, and hopefully. Now that it's free and clear, we can figure out what the grant process, or the selectmen can figure out what that grant process looks like and. Hit it efficiently and effectively. Who usually handles that for us internally? Christina, like the actual development of the grant application?
I mean, I used to do it when I was there.
Oh, Mike's gonna like that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work, and there you do want to pick a project that is likely to get funded. So, something that has been on our CIP for years and hasn't been able to be funded, like the Turnpike Road project was a multi-year and I think a multi-steep grant project that we used, which we were able to explain that multiple people from different towns were also using Turnpike Road. And that it was, a main road in the town. So it was more important than maybe a pickleball court in Tolland, for example. Um, so it's that you need to strategize that way too.
Yeah, so it was kind of flagged for it, but I think there are other opportunities like that, Worcester Road, culverts and stuff like that. That we didn't have. So there are opportunities here, but. And honestly, it may be that one gets done anyway, next one gets done on your application down the road, and that's the only way you see this unless we can. Build up a nest egg. Start dating these. I will, sorry, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the fire departments. Mike did note that there may be. Find his email for him is, well, the way he phrased that. Yeah, draft report. Regardless of what the report shows for a new facility, the current station at 426 River Road is unusable, so there is potential to repair, rebuild, etc. So it sounds like there may be an interim request, which I think we'll have to see how they address, but I also believe that they might have a grant that's been awarded for up to for $500,000, I believe, for some repairs or improvements for for an emergency operations center. I was hoping we'd get that information submitted, but I will follow up and ask about it because it'll be a part of that process.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means or what that does to whatever recommendations that were made already by the committee or what the future overall larger staging or phasing of this process is, but just be aware I've heard that's out there. I just haven't seen anything on it yet. I also don't know if there's like a sunset on it, an eligibility period that wanes after a near future, so. So. Lots more to discuss. Any other comments directly on the submissions for now? Otherwise, much more to come. We do have full project submission summaries for each of these. I have not downloaded them in the individual manual process. What I'll try to do is download and share them in advance of when we interview with everybody. If I can't, just get them all on it. Here's everything. But you'll be missing information for projects that weren't renewed and so I will do my best to pull that and get that to you. Hopefully these wonderful dry holiday foods. Any other thoughts on this before we move on? Which will tie into this again anyway.
Yep.
All right, so last up under new business discussion, goals and priorities for the current budget season. It may be a lot to really have a deep and meaningful discussion related to any new requests. But we know enough, I think, as a group about what we've been trying to achieve in years past. And I thought it would be good just to have a discussion early on before we get deep into the mix about or strategize, what we're hoping to see or get out of this budget process season. I, for one, would really like to see an effort made for a larger comprehensive financial plan that we've talked about and that we tried to get going, but never took off with the former board of selectmen. I don't know what that looks like starting in budget season. Is the reality of that, but if not, as a part of it, I think beyond, there are larger discussions to be had as a community across multiple boards to come up with a way of coming up with a plan to address this proactively. So we're not surprised, we're not seeing drastic reductions, we're not seeing heated debate over this time after time, because we're not gonna get anywhere unless we build gradually and meaningfully. And it avoids the ups and downs or changeovers and transitions in people's priorities. There has to be kind of a concerted effort that we get to, and I don't know what that looks like, because that's, you know, it's gonna be more than just us, but I really would like to push that on the helm, Mike, to figure out how we can, you know, start to have those conversations. I suspect it's not going to be during budget season, but, yeah, so that's kind of my number one. We need to do more, so we're not screaming at the walls every time we debate budgets.
I think that, something that we started last year and needs some nurturing is the long-term planning for folks longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
Having departments start to think in that kind of longitudinal way, is, I think, helpful. It still doesn't eliminate the fires that we get on year 1 and year 2, but it does, I think, open people's minds a little bit.
Yeah, I did make a point of trying to promote that again during the submission window, and we got one. So, but it's a start, you know, that was out beyond the 5 years of the plan, and I had Mike, the motto. Open the portal up so that people could submit beyond the 5 years that would be covered in this plan, which is why we had that one request, I think. I think a large part of this, Jen, is there's a mentality, there has been a mentality for a long time that I've been told that unless it's urgent, don't submit it. Because we don't want to try to fund it. And I think there's that mentality that it's trying to break out of that mindset a little bit.
Well, I think, kind of like you're talking about striking while the iron's hot, I feel like we have an opportunity with, the school project or the fire department project to have a pretty robust conversation about town finances and, that further agenda item about the, Bruce meeting together, I think with it, and in my opinion, having a very specific agenda as to like what we want to accomplish in that meeting is something that we've been asking for years, I don't say so.
I do have ideas on that. I just, hopefully we'll get some reception. Yeah, no, I mean, I think these are critical discussions that need to happen, so. Ideally, before we're talking about tax impact. You know, before we're pressed up against the tax impact, we need to kind of come up with a strategy and then build forward. I had something else, but I figure what it is. Yeah, it'll come to me tomorrow. Christine, any thoughts? Melissa?
No,
Fair. Yeah, a big part of our discussions are gonna be unknowns this year, unfortunately, still. I think,
Well, there's 2 big unknowns.
yeah,
School building and the fire department building, and we got them within 4 years of each other, big concern
absolutely.
to me. I mean, you're looking at substantial amount of money going out if. Or even to the taxpayers, so.
Yeah.
With 2 projects like that. Within 5 years of each other. That's what's on the plan.
Understand, so we're gonna be
Even with the reimbursement rate that so-called that we could be getting, it's still an impact.
It is, Yes. I think it's too early to know what that impact is. I'm hoping we'll have some sense of it. That reimbursement rate is significantly improves what we had captured as an assumption already. To the point where I think there's even potential that there may not be a big bond for this. Because of the work we've done to build that reserve savings, and, you know, I think that's a lesson that we promote as well. That having an actual reserve fund and not, you know, using it as a checking account essentially allows the opportunity to avoid or deflate big hits. I hope it kind of does that way. I have no idea if it will, but
We won't know until we
exactly.
submit.
And then I don't know where we're going with the fire departments. That's a big one and it's a critical one. So could be two, could be one, could be at the same time, could be staggered. What is promising, there might be a reduction in the fleet, which takes some of that long-term need. You know,
Off of this.
Off here.
She'll take it off of this within these
Yes.
28 to 30. Those big 1.3 truck, $1.3 million trucks and stuff like that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Unfortunately, so it's not, I didn't print it, but we had started to look at what was, you know, targeted out. We'll talk about vehicle replacement schedules and all that, but a lot of them haven't even been submitted officially as projects yet.
Right.
So I think it's not necessarily even captured dramatically in this plan because they still are outside of it, but it's something we're aware of as, yeah, we're gonna get through this and guess what, there's $3.5 million in the trucks.
Right.
That need to come with the next. As much of that as we can defer, I think is important to the discussion. As well, but. I don't know. Let's talk about that. Just want to get that. Thoughts, goals, hopes, dreams, anybody going once, going twice? All right, old business, 4A, the joint meeting request, we just touched on that. I will reach out to Mike, and the selectmen to see. To at least engage in how we go about that discussion and hopefully we can move it along.
Board of Finance as well, or just?
Yeah, my expectation was for finance, for the selectmen. And potentially the representatives from the two major projects. You know, because they may factor in, but I think there's a larger, before we get into the weeds on project requests, I think there's probably a larger discussion for. The financial. Agent like board of selectmen,
Yeah.
board of finance.
And I think that
strategies
people-
dealing with it, about strategies for addressing a larger need, not a specific project need.
And just because we're in a tiny town, there's people on all of those things that will have information about all of those things, so.
Yeah, like all three of the selectmen are currently on the emergency services facility. So. I'm sure that'll change, but, well, I don't know if that'll change, that may change, but they're working through that. All right. I will follow up with Mike on that, but moving on. Town clerk request for committees member information, this is just on there as a reminder for me to get it from you, I was missing it from you. So I have to follow up, I'll do that with the new list. To the clerk's office. That's it for the main agenda. Moving on. Present to speak. We have Ralph online, Ralph to us. It is your opportunity if you're interested, otherwise we will move right along.
I don't think I've got anything useful to add, so I'll pass.
All right, thank you for saving us some time, Ralph, I appreciate it. We'll talk more in the months to come, I'm sure. All right, that's
Move to
it.
adjourn.
Second.
He beat you. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Melissa.
Bye, ladies.
Thanks. Good night, guys.
Good night.